Anthony Adebayo.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.
You, Scott, you there?
I'm here.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, I'm here.
This is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
It's your boy Scotty B. What's up, man? How you been?
I've been all right. I guess, we talk, we try and get people in the like some of the behind the scenes type things, and be like, if they knew just what the things we talked about sometime, they'd be like, damn, these dudes, all they think about is video games and music.
Yeah, video games, music, and sports. that about
and sports.
Yeah.
That pretty much sums it up. But aside from that, I'm good, man. Can't complain. The holidays are coming up, so everybody be safe out there. But how you been?
Hey man, you can't complain, man. Last week had a week off. This week is short week. Nah, man, just really can't complain, man. Just been tracking just all the trades in basketball. My God.
It's
I don't even know if you even want to just we just want to just start right there, like with all the trades.
And the free agency, free agency starts. I think summer league starts next week as well. So I mean, we can get into the trades. Where you want to start? I mean, we talked about KD going to Houston. And I think that's one of the first ones. And then there was some others.
What do you think about the Bucks? Not waiving, but yeah, I guess in other words, they pretty much waived Dame Lillard. What'd you think of that?
To bring in Miles Turner. I don't know. I think that it's possible that they have an idea that he may retire. Possibly. Maybe.
Well, there's no incentive for him to retire. I mean, if you think about it, they owe him close to 117 million, right? Mm-hmm. And that's spread out over the course of like 5 years. So roughly, I think it averages out to close to about 22 million a year. So he's going to get his money.
He's going to get his money.
He gets to go home, rehab, take his time because there's no pressure for him to come back, right? He could just pretty much just rehab, maybe even take the season off. Because I think if he would have still been with the Bucks, he would have probably tried to rush back. He wouldn't have probably been back at the beginning of the season, but thinking maybe somewhere in January or probably a little bit later than that. But he would have had to rush to get back on the court. Now he can take his time, see what it does, see the adjustment that he's going to have to make to his game, sign with basically whoever he wants, and he still has his money. So I think for him, it's a win-win situation. What I was really surprised about was the direction the Bucks decided to go in with that, because with that type of money hitting your salary, that's a quality starter. And that's a quality piece that you'll be missing that you can't ultimately sign. So I was surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that. I didn't see that happening. I know they're trying to, I guess, make do whatever they can to get Giannis to stay. if that was, if that's one of the moves, is it like worth it? I mean, is Giannis saying, I got rid of Dame. I think I want to stay now. Is the team right now as constructed better than the team they put on the court last year?
No, but if I'm Giannis, I'm looking big picture, right? So I think bringing in Miles Turner, I wouldn't say it upgrades the roster, but it upgrades that position group, right?
Right.
With guards, not to downplay this, and this is probably bring up a lot of discussion. I feel like you could find like guards. If you really know what you're doing, you could find a suitable point guard, suitable two guard. They may not be of a Dame caliber,
Mm-hmm.
but you should be able to find some sort of young talent that could get the job done. And ultimately is getting Giannis and Miles Turner to basketball.
Right. So I just got some information. Supposedly Giannis told the Milwaukee Bucks front office not to trade for Jimmy Butler. They were gonna try and trade for Jimmy Butler and trade Chris Middleton for Jimmy Butler in a swap.
When there's smoke, there's fire.
Now I don't know. This clearly is not for like right now because he just got a new he's got a new contract. So I wonder if this had to be around the time of the trade deadline and things of that nature. What are your thoughts on that? That
I think players know. These players, they all know each other. I think, we spoke about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of attention was given to the Luka trade as being the big trade of last year.
Mm-hmm.
The most impactful trade might have been Jimmy Butler to the Warriors as far as what it did for the Warriors. I personally believe that the Lakers probably would have figured out how to be a playoff team regardless if they made the move for Luka.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the Warriors was right there in that 10th or 11th seed. And then they got Jimmy Butler and it brought new life into their locker room. With that being said, Jimmy Butler, every place he goes, makes every team better. Like, when he was in Minnesota, he made them better. When he was with the 76ers, he made them better. When he was with Miami, he made them better. He definitely, I wouldn't say it was his best years with the Bulls. Could have been. I don't have his stats, but he was a critical piece of those Bulls teams.
Right.
Everywhere he's gone, he's had either some sort of disagreement with the players or has been some sort of disagreement with his front office. Now, I haven't heard that as far as Golden State. I can't really recall.
He only been there half a year.
He only been there half a year, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So we haven't heard anything. So I know him and Rondo had some slight disagreements when he was with the Bulls. I can't really recall if he had any other issues there. But maybe Giannis has heard all the stories, knows personal accounts, is like, nah, that guy, don't bring him into the locker room.
Well, I could tell you one thing. If Jimmy Butler and Bucks, Giannis would have been on the same team for this playoff run, I have a feeling they would have beat Indianapolis.
More than likely. But okay, so let me play devil's advocate, right?
Mm-hmm.
One thing that we do know about Jimmy Butler is he's going to hold his teammates accountable.
Absolutely.
Do you think that that's possibly one of the reasons why you didn't want him there?
Possibly. I wouldn't put that past. you got to have a pretty strong personality. I don't know. Miami seemed like the perfect fit for Jimmy Butler. It just seemed like everything just it fit perfectly. Anywhere else it would just it'll be weird. But I think that because Jimmy Butler does have a very strong personality, and that might kind of like rub people, like you said, rub people the wrong way. So Giannis is a superstar. He's probably not used to having somebody challenge him, or be an alpha. I'm not saying that. Giannis is clearly the alpha of the Bucks, and anything he says goes at this moment. I don't know if that would have worked in Milwaukee. I think the reason it worked so well in Golden State is because they have Draymond, and I think that Draymond and Jimmy Butler's temperament are very similar. So they can hold each other accountable, but they also hold other players accountable, and there's some sort of understanding. Not necessarily sure that will work in Milwaukee.
But okay, so let's take a step back though, and I 100% agree with you. But I think that's what propels teams to greatness, right? So I think like Steph, all his career, I feel like he was okay with me with people holding him accountable. Because for the most part, Steph has always shown up, right? Clay,
Right.
Draymond, the same way, right? So they knew what it takes to get to that championship and to win it all, and how they need to hold everybody accountable. And it's nothing personal; it's all business. But you look at a lot of the other teams, like you look at when he was in Minnesota, yeah, Carl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins, they wasn't ready for that type of leadership. One of his beefs with Rondo was Rondo felt like him and Wade shouldn't have been calling out people on the public media that, veterans don't do that. You kind of take the young guys under your wing, kind of show them the right way, but you don't have to publicly criticize everybody. He got to Philadelphia, supposedly, quote unquote, Embiid was pretty good with him, but it was Ben Simmons there, so
And they show and the infamous what's his name that they chose over him?
the guy Harris,
Tobias Harris.
yeah.
Yeah. So you got that, but Embiid definitely wanted Jimmy Butler around.
But so this is why I always think about with that, right? So Ben Simmons and Embiid, there's always been rumblings that maybe they didn't have the best relationship. But from what I've always heard about Embiid is he's a very unprofessional professional, right? They say like he shows up late all the time, doesn't necessarily like lead from the front. So you might be holding Ben Simmons accountable, but were you holding Embiid to the same standard? Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. And Miami, other than Haslam, which they seem like they kind of ironed out their differences, his only issues from what we heard was with Pat Riley.
Right. Which most of the superstars that leave Miami, their issues end up being Pat Riley. He's old school.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard is that he's really old school. He's really stuck in his fundamental basketball. You got to be in shape. You don't put on a lot of weight, that sort of thing.
Aside from other stuff, I mean, that wasn't the issue with Jimmy Butler or LeBron. I think they all were different. Like Jimmy Butler's issue was a contract type issue. He felt like he should be compensated better than what he was, especially for what he did for the team. I think Pat Riley's argument was, your ass don't play in the regular season. Why should I pay you, top dollar if you're not playing in the regular season? Thank you for what you're doing in the playoffs, but you're not around in the regular season. With LeBron, it was more of it didn't have anything to do with money. I think it was more of power. Um, Someone like Shaq, I just think Shaq was a combination of you getting older and the money and those sort of things, and so they sent him on his way. With Jimmy Butler, it was a contract thing, and if I'm being honest, I do think that he should have got a contract from the Heat. But I guess they felt we going nowhere fast with this guy. Let's move on. But
Well, the thing with Shaq, and he talks about it in his book, is the way Pat Riley wanted him to play. So we all know when Shaq during those Laker days kept a lot of weight
right,
in his body. Like, he'd be 380, 360, not in the best shape, not in the best conditioning shape. But
right,
Shaq felt like he knew his body. He felt like he could carry the weight. He knew where his playing weight was, and he liked to be a lot heavier. During the season, when he went to Miami, and you notice when he first got there, he slimmed down a ton, lost a lot of weight, got in good conditioning, and I think a lot of that was him being charged up because of the Lakers really kind of choosing Kobe Bryant over him, and he didn't feel like he was getting the respect that he deserved. But he also attributed to that was the start of the decline of his career, because when he didn't have that weight on him, he started picking up nicky knack injuries, which ultimately led to more injuries. Um, and then control, like you said with LeBron, I think Shaq felt like, as an established veteran in the league, the MVP, the career that he was having, he should have more say so and have more of the superstar treatment. Same thing with LeBron. LeBron was used to running the show in Cleveland. Now he kind of bought into what Pat was saying, early on, because it was getting them to the championships and getting them rings. But eventually, he's like, "Yo, can we do this? Can we do that?" And Pat Riley still ruling with an iron fist. Now, this is just accounts from other people. Dwayne Wade, that's all he kind of knew as a rookie. So Dwayne Wade, when he first got there, Pat Riley was his coach. So he kind of
right.
molded Dwayne Wade into that. Okay, this is normal. This is the way. So I don't believe it ever really bothered Dwayne Wade as like it bothered other superstars coming from.
No. Dwayne Wade and Pat Riley got into that. Remember, he left.
He left over money, but I think it wasn't a control thing with Dwayne Wade.
Got you. Understood.
Oh yeah, no. Dwayne Wade wanted his. He definitely wanted his money.
Right. So and I want everybody. We're gonna give y'all the link. Y'all can get y'all points across as well. If you choose to, you can join us on the show. Give your points on, the Jimmy Butler situation. How do you think Jimmy Butler would have been, against. I mean, how would he have been with Giannis? Or was Giannis right, wrong, or indifferent about not wanting him on the team?
So brings up a good question. Oh, you're about to address that?
No, I didn't. I guess go ahead.
She asks, what is the difference between Shaq's weight and Luka's weight? Me personally, I don't feel like it is a difference. I think certain players just carry their weight and they can still hoop with it. Like I look at what's the boy name? Williamson.
Zion.
Big Zion. We all know he could probably be in better shape, but he's still able to get the job done with the weight. I feel like Shaq was the same way, to where, yeah, he probably would have been better if he would have worked out or took it a little bit seriously, but it ultimately didn't matter. He still was the most dominant player with the weight that he had on in LA. Now, let me ask you this. Do you feel that he would have been more dominant if he would have been in better shape in LA?
More dominant. No, I think Shaq was as dominant as he was going. Nobody was stronger than him at the size he was at. I think longevity wise I think he would have been able to play a little longer in LA if he had been in better shape, because then him and Kobe probably wouldn't have, gotten into it. I think that I don't feel like I personally don't feel like there was a difference. I think that they both were dominant as out of shape players. If that's what you want to call it.
Now, I think Phil brings up a good point with, that Shaq needed that weight to take that punishment because he was taking the beating every night. But then he's right too. Luka and Zion could lose a little bit more weight to be in better shape. To your point, I think we would never really truly know. Some players just have talent. I think, like you said, the longevity of their careers and their ability to maybe not pick up injuries. Now, Zion, you probably could make the case that he should lose weight because he's always getting hurt. Luka, we don't really see that from him,
I think that Luka, if Luka did lose 10 to 15 pounds and put on some muscle, that no one would be able to stop him. And I'm not talking about like a ton of bulk muscle, but just get stronger. And I think he would easily be the best player in the league. No one would be able to stop him. They can't stop him now. Most of the time, if he's not playing, is mainly because he has like little nagging injuries, which may come from his conditioning. So
I got to vent a little bit.
Huh?
Oh, I got to vent a little bit.
On what?
Really,
in regards to this? Because I want to move on. I don't want to talk about this
no more. No, not this. Yeah, I don't want to talk about this anymore. But I have to vent about something.
Well, go ahead, vent, because I want to get to our topic today. So you go ahead, vent, and share. Oh boy.
I would just say, Mike Brown, we went to the same high school.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You and Mike Brown went to the same high school?
Mike Brown went to the same high school. Same high school in Germany. Isn't that crazy? That's a wild coincidence.
I've known you for years. I never known that.
Look it up. He went to Words.
Okay, so Mike Brown. This actually gets to like one of my points because you are a fan. So Mike Brown gets hired as the Knicks head coach.
Yeah.
What's your beef?
For all that, we should have kept Tom Thibodeau. Look, man, I will always tell you, I've always rooted for Mike Brown just because of that simple fact right there. But I was ultimately disturbed. Like, this is what we went, Mike Brown? Oh, man. I want to give it a chance, but for us to oust Thibodeau and not have no real plan, because I just knew we had a plan. I just knew we had some guy in the wings that nobody wanted, or somebody expressed interest, or like something. Like, it's like literally, I don't even want to make this comparison, but it's like it's like if you see one of your friends that leaves his wife and then you see who they leave their wife for, you like, man, you did all that for like what were you thinking? And I just, oh my God, I've been really, 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 really disgusted by this. And Mike, it's nothing personal. You and your brother, hey, great guys. Wish you all the luck. I just don't see it, man. Man, this is depressing, man. It is.
Hold on, stay right there. Hold on, stay right there. Hold on, stay. You don't move. Hold on. My bad. That wrong. That was wrong. My bad.
No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner. No, you're a winner.
Scott, you're on mute, man.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know I'm on mute. Oh man, I just
Everybody, get your hey, join. Hey, if you're a Knicks fan, I want y'all to join the show. I want to hear from so, and we're gonna get back to this Mike Brown thing in just 1 second. I just want to say one thing. If you're part of the Knicks fan base, I want to know how you really feel. How do you really feel about them getting rid of Tom Thibodeau, then trying to get coaches that are already in good standing with their teams? A Jason Kidd, Minnesota's head coach. There was somebody else, Ime Udoka. Just a few, whatever. All these coaches that are already hired, they got teams, and not have a plan. If you're a fan of the New York Knickerbockers, I want you to get this off your chest. We're gonna start a new segment called "Get This Off Your Chest." Scott, you are the first person. Oh, get it off your chest, Scotty.
I'm gonna be honest.
Mm-hmm.
They should have just hired Rick Bronson. If they was gonna do all that, if they would have hired Rick Bronson, that would have sat better with me as a fan. I've been like, okay, well, maybe it's some sort of direction going here. I didn't really see like other coaches just lined up to take that job, especially after they just publicly watch what they did to Thibodeau. Because if you're watching that afar and you say, man, this guy made it to the conference championship, right? Now, as fans, we could change our expectations, right? We could say, oh yeah, he was out coached and he should have played more players, and we can say whatever the hell we want. But if you're a coach and you're looking at this situation, you're like, dang, yo, we went to a conference finals. The team improved every year. Like this guy changed the identity of the team, and it still wasn't good enough. What would they be expecting from me? And if you're a coach and you're already in the situation, why would you jump ship your situation to go into that situation? That made no sense to me. But yeah, Mike Brown, he has nothing to lose. Like he didn't have a job, so he's going to take the job, right? He's going to be like, you know what? He
was an assistant coach.
He was an assistant coach.
But I'm glad Mr. Chad Way said what he said. Because Scott, you said all of that, and this is all I heard all playoffs. Mind you, the Knicks ain't been a damn thing for decades. And this is, as a fan, I'm glad Tibbs is gone. And that's all I heard. All to get another retread, another coach that struggles at adjustments during in the crunch, another coach that we've seen struggle without LeBron. Yeah, he had LeBron and he did good. He had the year with the Kings, but he got fired for whatever reason. Another coach that you're like, he's a black coach. I give him that. He's a black coach.
He is a defensive-minded coach.
Like Scott said, when he started his rant and his venting and getting it off of his chest, he said, for all that, we should have stuck with Tibbs. And I agree. Me personally, as someone who I can be fair in this, and I don't have to have a bias. There's no secret that I'm not a fan of the Knicks. I could care less about the Knicks, but I know right is right and wrong is wrong. And I thought getting rid of the one coach that has been steady, could he had done some different adjustments? Absolutely. Could they have hired another bench coach to help him with his substitutions? Absolutely. But to get rid of a coach that hasn't done something since Jeff Van Gundy was your head coach is crazy. Like, let's be 100% clear. Y'all haven't had a good coach since Jeff Van Gundy. Y'all had Tibbs. Tibbs was he's won Coach of the Year before, if I'm not mistaken. He has a championship as an assistant coach.
So is Mike Brown.
So Mike Brown has I thought he won a champ. No, he wasn't the coach for the Cavs when they won it the year after.
He coached. I believe he coached with the Spurs as well.
Who, Mike Brown? Yeah, well, he got a ring with the Warriors also. So
yeah, no, he's got rings.
Yeah,
he's a defensive coach.
I thought Mike Brown was more offensive.
No, he's.
Well, let me tell you something.
Now think back to them Cavs team. He's a
You're right. They didn't play no
coach. Yeah.
Let me tell you something, Scott. I'm gonna tell you something. Because I see something. The East is wide open. All of this. Yeah, Jason Tatum is not gonna be there this year. Dame's hurt. Is wide open. Let me tell you something right now. I will bet each and every one of y'all in those comments, I will bet you, Scott, the Knicks won't even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals next year.
Yeah, I'm not taking that bet. Look, you're not about to bait me.
I see it in his comments. Earn is just like
no. So look, here's the thing, right? When we fired Tibbs, Knicks fans right now have not been let down by any part of the process, right? So since the new management group has took over, they've got in the players, they've got in the talent, and the team has progressed, right? So when they fired Tibbs, it wasn't the sky is falling type of moment because people trusted the process. I trust the process, right? But I will tell you this. I don't know about this Mike Brown thing. I really, 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 really don't. And I hope I'm wrong.
Can I tell you something, Scott? Another thing. Even though I said y'all not going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I do think y'all going to have a good year next year. I think that because Mike Brown is a good coach, and it wasn't that long ago where he was where he had the Kings at like the 2 or 3 seed in the West. So let's be clear. He can coach. He can coach. He's a good coach. Now, do I think him and Tibbs on the same level? Absolutely. I think that you're getting the black version of Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah. No. So we can agree there. Yeah, we're getting the black version of Tibbs. Yeah. Like just as many faults that Tibbs has, Mike Brown has his tips. Now, I mean his faults. Now, what I feel personally Mike Brown struggles with is like getting his star players' ear. You know what I mean? Because him and LeBron got to that point to where he really didn't want them there anymore. You know what I mean? And he had his little criteria for who he wanted coaching. And that's ultimately what led him out of Cleveland was the fact that him and LeBron wasn't seeing eye to eye. We got head coach Mike Brown. Go ahead and bring Mike Brown.
We got. You want to finish your statement?
No, I want to holler at Mike.
We got.
Hey, good afternoon, fellas. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. What I ever do to you, Scotty? We're just out here trying to get prepared to win games. Trust the process, as you said. I mean, I got championship pedigree. I've learned from 2 of the greats, and we're going to have guys playing hard, man.
First of all, my beef started when your brother was playing, and he didn't want to toss me a football. That's when my beef started with you.
He said you couldn't catch. He just texted me.
No, that's not a true story. I just made that part up, bro.
Well, he did tell me you couldn't catch. He told me you were a poor athlete and you had all that height and couldn't play basketball. So you're not qualified.
All right, so damn. All right, so I'll say this. I say this. Uh, Mike Brown did win Coach of the Year in 22-23 with the Sacramento Kings, and then got fired 2 years, not even a full 2 years later. I think that Scott has a point in does his players get tired of him, or does he lose the locker room, by year 2 or year 3, and that
That
actually
was the
can be.
situation. That was the
Yeah.
situation with the Kings. Him and De'Aaron Fox, they wasn't seeing eye to eye, and they went on one of them horrendous losing streaks,
Yeah.
and they ended up ultimately. Well, both of them ended up out of town, but it started with him first.
Yeah. So, any other? First of all, everybody, this is not really Mike Brown, but any other comments?
Go Knicks.
So this imposer that we have on our show right now, he's a Knicks fan. I was curious to see what he had to say about the hire. He might have liked it because he was pretending to be Mike Brown, so might have been a good hire in his opinion.
So you don't ultimately you don't think it's a good hire?
No, I wouldn't say it's not a good hire. I say it's the same hire. Like you said, all we got is the black version of Tips. Like you said, Mike Brown, the coach. He's been the coach of the year. He's been to the finals. If you look at his resume, it's exactly the same as Tibbs' resume.
Mm-hmm.
Like one doesn't trump the other. What I was hoping for is a total opposite coach, right? Sometimes like people bring in coaches that maybe they have a different philosophy, maybe they have a different scheme, maybe it's somebody that's been coaching in the wings that they want to give an opportunity. Like I'm trying to think when the Celtics got rid of Doc Rivers when they traded him. They got in the guy from Butler. I guess he's the GM, Brad Stevens, right?
Mm-hmm.
It took like a shot with like Brad Stevens. I was hoping to see something like that, to where, okay, maybe it's a college coach in the ranks that is the next offensive philosophy that's going to come in and change up the way that we play or we do business. But when I saw Mike Brown, I'm like, dang, you could have gave this guy another year if he was going to do that, right?
So before I get to my fan base question, let me ask you this: Would you have been happy with Mark Jackson?
Yes, because at least with Mark Jackson, I could say like, okay, this guy's been blackballed. We all saw what he did in Golden State, and really, honestly, we'll never know if he would have won the championship with those players. Those were ultimately his same players. Now, I do believe, and possibly what they're thinking about is that Steve Kerr system is a cross between Popovich's system. And Mike Brown has learned from both of them. And maybe that's what he's going to bring to New York. And maybe he broadcasted that a little bit in his interview. But yeah, I would have loved to see Mark Jackson like coach.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's gonna be interesting. Hey, Knicks fans, go to Brooklyn. Go be a Knicks fan.
Well, look, I will tell you this: he's not going to have a long leash. If they have a decent season, they're going to give him. I mean, he's going to be good. If he goes in there and things start to look like it's going in the wrong direction, this management group is going to do whatever they can to save face, and they will run him out of New York. And that's unfortunate.
What was the point even bringing him in if you're not even gonna? If you're gonna, at the first sign of adversity, you're gonna just run and fire him. What's the point of bringing him in there?
It shows that we still have instability
Oh
issue.
well, yeah.
No, I'm serious, right? Because for us to just go into that direction with no suitable plan, it's just like, man. So, with all that being said, best of luck to Mike.
All right. Well, yeah. Best of luck to the the black Tom Thibodeau. No, I'm joking. That's I guess that's kind of disrespectful. Best of luck to Mike Brown. I hope you do a swell job. All right. So let me ask you this, and I've been thinking about this, and I wanted to talk about fan bases, right? We just saw you in your, I don't know, your feelings about what your basketball team did, the team that you support did. What do you call some of the top? I mean, who would you name as some of the top fan bases? And we could just talk about throughout sports, right? It doesn't matter the sport that you've seen maybe in person, that you've possibly seen, some of the good ones, some of the bad ones that you've seen in person, seen on TV. I prefer in person because sometimes TV could give fan bases a bad rap when they didn't necessarily deserve the bad rap.
So this is a tough one, right? I want to tell you why it's a tough question.
Okay.
Because I feel like every time I go into a different stadium, or every time I go to a Commanders game, I get to see a different fan base that looks just as loyal. I think with football, and just bear with me, it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. It's like teams.
Wait a minute.
No pause.
Wait a minute. Yes.
No homo. He got to grow up for these couple minutes, and I want to say pause. Just got to take it.
Yo, continue, yo. Yo, wow, yo, what?
But no, we get to the point. The fan base that jumps out to me is two. Well, it's really four. The NFC East fan bases, because I think those are the ones that I interact with the most, between the Giants, the Cowboys, Commanders, and the Eagles, are all insane. The Commanders, just with us being in DC, have to be some of the most loyal. I mean, just considering like how long they stuck with that team. The Eagles, you hear the stories about what goes on in their stadium. The Cowboys, I feel like I'm surrounded by them. And Giants is a ton of them. Fans too, man.
I don't even understand. Them Giants, I don't even understand. Like they just like pain, because it's like, I mean, I understand. I can understand with the Cowboys, right? It's I didn't mean I meant to do that, but I meant for it to like ticker. But anyway, I can understand the Cowboys. At least we be winning games and winning like the division. We ain't won the Super Bowl in quite some time. But damn, at least we win. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nah, I do like our fan base, but I don't think people think of 49er fans as like crazy fans or anything like that. Like I joined like a whole bunch of Facebook groups and a whole bunch of just various different groups, and those fans, they extend everywhere. But I'll say the Raider fans are crazy too.
So what's the worst fan base you've been around?
The worst one that I've been around? The Commanders.
The Commanders?
Yeah. Because they get delusional. and a lot of them you can't even really even talk football with. Like you have some that know their team, and some would just spew out stuff. And you see the same thing. Like if they get like a winning record like early, they're going to the Super Bowl. They're the best team ever. I would say the Commander fan base is the worst one I've ever been around.
Damn. Nah, if I had to choose, I think the worst, like I'll say in stadium. So I've seen some bad. When we went last year, we went to the Commanders Bears game with the Hail Mary. It was Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams. I thought it was a pretty good game. And I saw some rowdy Bears fans. Now I've never been to the Bears Stadium in Soldier Field. But I have been to some stadiums, like I've been to the Link, been in Atlanta, saw Falcon and Saints fans together when we went there last year, among some other stadiums. I think that if I had to pick like the worst group that I've been around, I think that Eagle fans are worse than Commander fans because
behavior wise, yeah.
Yes. And that's mainly what I'm talking about. Mainly like behavior. Like I think everything, not just behavior, but like how they interact with their rivals or other fans of the other team that they're playing, how they interact with each other. I've seen, and I won't even just leave football, right? I went to this is years ago, probably 15, 16 years ago. I went to a Phillies Mets game where I was in training in Philly, and I literally seen a Mets fan. Was it a Mets fan? Yeah, he was a Mets fan. He was a Mets fan, and he was drunk, and he literally went down the line in the crowd. I thought he knew the people. He was like, F you, literally walked down the line of people with the opposite team's jersey on. And the last dude he said F you to rocked his ass, hit him. Now it's an all-out brawl. Now, and this actually might have been this was 2007. And that's around the time where YouTube was starting to get like really, really popular. And that was the first time. I'm gonna pull up that thing, Scott, the video, and I'm gonna send it to you. And it was the dude, F you, and he got rocked, and it was an all-out brawl. And I was like, damn, damn. So I think that sometimes the liquor can make, or the booze can make fans a little bit more unruly than they would normally.
But the fan base that was the coolest to be around, the New Orleans Saints fan base. The couple of times that we've been around them, I've been like, all right, they're tolerable. Their stadium is really just, it feels good to be in their stadium. Even though that's not your team, that's probably the coolest fan base I've ever been around.
And I'll say this. Not thinking about it, when we went to Atlanta last for the Falcons Saints game, it wasn't like, put it like this: Falcon and Saints fans hate each other, but maybe it's the Southern hospitality. I don't know, because it ain't. I never felt one time that there was going to be some sort of altercation. It was like playful. Oh, we're gonna kick your butt. Now it's gonna be curse words said, and they're gonna talk they trash. But it was never. I never felt like there's gonna be a fight in these stands.
It was laughing. It was partying.
Even going to Cowboys Commander games, I felt sometimes where there's gonna be some fans where they cool, but there's gonna be some fans where like, yo, there's about to be a fight. There's about to be a fight in these stands because it's getting a little too rowdy, and some of these people can't control the alcohol or whatever. So. Yeah, I've never been to a Raiders game. I've heard that, especially when they were in Oakland. I think they're a little bit more calm now because they're in Vegas. But when they were in Oakland, yeah,
Oh yeah,
you
the
better
Bay
be
Area,
well
49ers
protected.
Oakland, like that. That's not a good game to be at. Um, Basketball is a little bit different. I guess fan bases in basketball, it just really depends on what superstar they got on that team.
You you've been to. I think you're tainted. You've been to too many Wizards games. The Wizards don't
Oh,
count, man.
oh
The
no, they
Listen,
don't count as fan base.
yeah, the
They,
Wizards don't count. The Wizards are going to a Wizards game is you pretty much are going to a home road game. All right, you're gonna it's gonna be. Let's just use the Heat for example. I use the Heat because that's probably the team I've seen grow up the most. I mean, not grow up, but lately. And it's like Miami North. It's like all you see is Vice City jerseys, of whatever play. Pick a player that's on the Heat that year. Butler, Bam, Tyler Hero, Dwayne Wade. Like I even seen an old Alonzo Mourning jersey in Capital One Arena before.
so it
It's
used to
gonna
be it used to be better when the Wizards was good. Like during the peak of the arenas years, and I think the
yeah,
last
John
time
Wall.
they really were good, like with Bill, Paul Pierce, and Wall, like those teams had a little bit better fan base with it. That's why I was hoping that the Wizards would have got Ace Bailey. We do
Man, they
got to
tried.
talk about that for a second. What are your thoughts on this young guy, man, Ace Bailey?
I think he's gonna be a superstar. That's it. I think he's gonna. I think he's misunderstood. I think all he wants to do is play basketball. He don't want to deal with this he don't want to deal with the business part of basketball. He just wants to yeah. So I want to answer this question before I finish with Ace Bailey. Yes. 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 If it's not the Caps, and made a little bit of the Nats
Nationals, yeah.
and the Mystics, you could yeah and yeah. But I think there's worse fan bases. But because I'm not a fan of the Commanders, then yes, DC has the worst fan base. But back to Ace Bailey, I think that he's gonna thrive in Utah. It's one of those. It's one of those. They're gonna have a story about he didn't really want to go to Utah initially, but he went to Utah. He ended up loving it, and he's gonna be like the face of Utah Jazz basketball for a number of years. I think that right now it is set up for him to be the king of Utah, the king of Salt Lake City. And let's be clear. I want people to understand that somehow, some way, like basketball in Utah is about to change. I don't know if anybody knows. Ace Bailey's gonna be there for at least 10 years. Like let's just he is. Let me rephrase that. At least 7 years. He's gonna be there for at least 7 years. BYU is taking the full advantage of this NIL stuff for college basketball. They just got the number one player in the country, and they got a really good coach, and they got some other guys coming. BYU is going to be pretty good next year. So those are your two sports franchises in Utah. They're getting a hockey team, but Ace Bailey is about to be the guy in Utah, and he's probably going to win Rookie of the Year. I thought he was going to do that even when he was in college last year, and had what's the guy Cooper Flag not been in his draft, he would have been number one.
Right. So I agree with everything, but what about the way he handled everything? How did you feel about his approach?
I mean, I think that he's a kid, and you don't know what you don't know. And I think that he probably was advised wrong. I think that his advisor and the people around him probably could have done a better job of the approach, right? Of as far as like not working out, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, yeah, I get it. I do get it. Is 30? It's only 30 teams in the NBA, but let's be clear. Let's be clear. He is a top 3 player in the draft. Let me rephrase that. He's a top 2 player in the draft, and some may say that Cooper Flag is. If I had to choose between the two, I'd probably take Cooper Flag. But
you have to say Cooper Flag.
He's gonna be a superstar. Like Ace Bailey is gonna be a superstar. So him not working out for some teams and not wanting to go for some go to certain teams, I can appreciate that because again, I am, I guess, for the players, and I understand that they have a lot of control. And honestly, there's nothing really that a lot of these teams could do. He has the control. He wanted to go to a few spots where he felt was the best fit for him. Washington was one of them. Now, if Ace Bailey got drafted one more pick at Washington, which Danny Ainge is a slimy, slithering GM and front office guy, because he knew that Ace Bailey, that Ace Bailey wanted Washington, and he knew that Washington wanted Ace Bailey. And ultimately, he was going to force their hand to trade up, because I don't know if you know, but there was a trade in the works. Well, who had the number 4 pick? I think I forget. It was them and Washington had they had a handshake deal, and Danny Ainge found out and said, "I'll foil those plans," and drafted Ace Bailey at 6. Crazy. It's crazy. And so people saying that, and people saying, "Oh, he cost himself 19 to 30 million." He knew they now that part they knew what they were doing. It was what it was. They knew the teams that they wanted to go to. They talked to those teams. Now I get it. I totally understand. But the Jazz is going to be a good fit for Ace Bailey. The approach could have been different, but what's done is done. And I think that because he has that superior talent and the things that he can do on the court, he actually has that power to, kind of dictate where he's gonna go.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, so again, I thought it was a pretty good draft. Now, what I didn't like about the draft was that it was 2 days. I understand why they did it. I don't know anybody. They sold ESPN. They made sure they promoted that second round. They even the next day, the best things from the second round of these players. Now there was some good players in the second round, but basketball just ain't football, man. It just it's a like, I know people that watched all 3 days of the draft. I was one of them, right? And I'm not saying I watched it from the beginning to the end, but one of the things the NFL did, whether it was on purpose or not, was Shedeur. Everybody knew Shedeur should have been a top 5 pick, and him going on the 3rd day in the 5th round, that was TV. People wanted to see that, and people watched the draft on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to see where Shedeur would get drafted.
But what football has done better than, I guess, basketball? Basketball has made it to where if you're not picked in the first 5, teams don't really care, or the fans don't really care. Like they don't place the value on second round picks. What football does is they place value on every pick, right? So, teams feel like, or fans at least feel like, hey, we can find value in the 3rd round. We can find value in the 4th round. And they do a good job of highlighting, okay, these are the positions that this team needs. And so if you're a fan of a team, you're like, okay, these are our 7 positions that we need. You're tracking pretty much the entire draft. Like, okay, did we get a stud in the 3rd round, or did we get a stud in the 6th round? Basketball makes it look like, oh yeah, this team just traded 5 second rounders for this player, and they've traded like 10 years worth of second rounders. They don't really care about second round picks. And that's not the case because you can find talent in the second round too.
And there was some good talented players in the second round. So two things I think NBA needs to do is, one, they need more stories before the draft. They have to have more stories. And two, they need to do a better job of working with college basketball, the NCAA. And I think that they do a terrible job of working with the NCAA. Now the NFL, they work with the NCAA in regards to, when games are going to be played, knowing that we can't have Saturday games until the second Saturday, I think in December, and it's pretty much the week after the Heisman. Then you can have Saturday games. So yeah, man, I think that you just got to have stories. So here's the other thing as well. So I disagree with Ab, because I don't. They can't have it no other time. Because the season is so long. Now what happens is the draft is what, June, and the end of the college season is in March. So that's 3 months. That whole process is going on during the playoffs.
April.
Huh?
I said really April.
Yeah, April. Yeah. Early April. Yeah, true. So you end the season in April, and then the draft is, you got to think about it. They going, that's only 2 months. It's only 2 months before the draft is here. So they got to work out and everything. So, if you think about the WNBA draft,
but I think what Ab is saying is too close to the finals.
It's always the week after the finals.
So
when can they have the draft?
No, I like where you were going, because the more I think about it, okay, so let's say you pushed out the draft until July. Well, that doesn't give them a lot of time for summer league, doesn't give them a lot of time for preseason and all that stuff. So I think they do it closer to the end of the season so that they can get those guys in, start working on summer league, get them to preseason, because basketball preseason probably starts in at
September.
least training camp starts in September.
September, yeah.
Yeah.
So I personally think that they kind of get it right, because summer league starts this week. So summer league is about to start. It starts the beginning of next week for a week, and they have it in Florida and California and I think Utah, and then the main summer league, which is the Vegas summer league, is just like that. The funny thing is that the NHL draft was the day after the NBA draft. It was literally the day after. So the NBA draft was Wednesday, Thursday, and the NHL draft was Friday. And both seasons just ended. So I don't know, man. I think that you don't really get the chance to do a build up. The NFL is a little different because the NFL season ends in February. The college football season ends in January, and then you got the combine at the end of February, March. Then you got all that stuff for the teams, and the draft is what?
It sounds like April. Yeah.
April? It's still about the same thing. I just think the difference is the NFL draft. The combine is film. People the NBA has a combine. Nobody really cares.
But to App's point, if you really think about it, that gives you time to build up the storyline on the players. Because what starts happening is they go to pro days and combines, and people start tracking on players, and then players start getting a lot more buzz, and people got to see them during the college stuff, and it allows you that time to build up that storyline or do that research on those players, and They'll start having the Peyton Manning Academy, so you get to know all the quarterbacks that they're talking about, and people could just speculate a lot longer. Whereas, like, I felt like they did draft lottery. Okay, Cooper Flag, you're going number one. It's no surprise. Everybody else will figure it out. And this really wasn't much of a build up to where, unless you're super locked into the combine, that sort of thing, or super locked into what your team is going to pick, you don't really get to know the players. So I do see App's point, but your other point, when else would you do it? Don't know.
Yeah, I just think that basketball is, I mean, unless they shorten the season and start later. If they start later, then yeah, you can do the combine a month later, depending on when they're gonna start the season. But I don't know. So all right, well, we're gonna get up out of here. Again, follow us on YouTube. You see all that stuff down there. IG is the Off the Record Show. Facebook is not supposed to be off the Facebook, but nonetheless, it's off the record. And I don't know why that says off the Facebook, because it shouldn't say off the Facebook. So yeah. But and you got anything? Happy 4th of July. Be safe. Don't do nothing stupid.
Yeah. Probably
Don't
see
do
you
nothing
at some
stupid
point.
with some fireworks, because you just think what's his
Pierre.
name? JPP. All right. Whenever you think fireworks, think JPP. Keep your fingers together, because yeah.
Yeah, no. So I got a funny story. I'll make it quick. Last 4th of July, I was with my wife's family, and they do like a huge fireworks stuff. But like all the family members on her side that do it, they're like getting a little bit older. So last year they was like, "Hey, we need some help." First thing I was thinking about is JPP. I was like, man, if I die out here, but I couldn't, I had to man up and take care of it. But yeah, man, the fireworks, man, that can be a scary thing, man. And I'm telling you, I don't know where her peoples get these fireworks from. I don't know if they're getting, well, I believe they're getting them from Mexico. They got like just the craziest fireworks. I don't have to invite you down there, but yeah, man, they look like they, yeah.
Now go ahead.
Nah, but they look like they out there on the like. Right, remember when we was doing the fireworks at my house?
That was about to be my next story before we got out of here. All right, so I'm gonna just tell this story and then we can really go. All right, so one year, this is probably about, I can't remember if it was before COVID or after COVID.
It was before COVID.
So it was before, so it was probably 2018 or 2019. I can't remember. So we all go to Scott's house for 4th of July. We like, yo, we got these fireworks. I think our boy Rico got them from, the little fireworks spot outside the mall. I mean, some of them was big. I mean, he probably had about $300-400 worth of fireworks. So it gets nighttime. We ready to light the fireworks. So just so happened, Scott's neighbors, I don't know if they were new neighbors, I don't know where they came from, but they had some fireworks as well. So ultimately, you know how in neighborhoods you have like the grass wars, I'm gonna do my lawn, you do your lawn, boom, boom, boom. It became firework wars. And it was the first round knockout. I just tell you that. Because first we lit some fireworks, and then like, right? Then they went and they lit some fire. Like, and it lit up the sky. We looking like, oh boy, this ain't gonna go well. Then we was like, all right. He went and got some of the bigger ones, thinking like, yo, that joint gonna be loud. That joint was like, boom, 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 boom. They said, okay. They got another thing out there, fireworks lit it. You thought it was the Macy's Day Parade or the Macy's fireworks show in New York. It was crazy, and I'm looking like, yo, we ain't going no more. We ain't lighting no more fireworks. Y'all take your butts inside. It was bad, man. It was bad.
that was really bad. But I want to tell you, the ones that my wife peoples have, put those to shame.
Really?
Yeah. Nah, they could probably do fireworks like on an army base or some shit. Like they got like the real good stuff. But nah, we'll keep you posted.
All right, man. Well, we're off the record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Boy Scotty B.
All right, we out.
We off the record. Anthony Adebayo. We off the record.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo. And the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sport.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.